tension between infinity of God and the finiteness, of man, and Jesus being fully man. It's like if there was infinite amount of water, and you tried to fill infinite amount of water into a water bottle, into my water bottle here, it wouldn't work, right? Because no water bottle could ever contain infinity, just like no man can ever attain the infiniteness of God. So to say it's a paradox is almost to say, oh, I accept it doesn't work, and let's rush over that instead of trying to address that problem.
When you're talking about God, you're not talking about physical matter. You're talking about a spiritual being.
So how do we define eternity, infinity? How do we define it?
Well, there's a difference between the two. Eternity is without end of time. No beginning, no end. God is eternal. No beginning, no end. So you have a problem with this eternal God, who is spirit, humbling himself and becoming a human being? What's your problem with it? And don't give me the water bottle stuff. Come on. You know better than that.
Eternal. Eternal is never ending, right?
Yeah.
Jesus' life ended.
Yeah.
So how could the eternalness of God then be equal to Jesus, which life ended?
Very simple, because when Jesus prayed, he wasn't talking to himself. He's not God the Father. He's not God the Holy Spirit. So when Jesus humbled himself and walked on earth, he prayed. And he wasn't talking to his navel. He was talking to his Father in heaven. That's part of the mystery of the triune God.
Jesus' life is not life. He's fully man. All men die. Jesus
good. As a human being, he died. Correct.
So then, how could, if Jesus is equivalent to God and God is eternal, how can in Jesus' life not be eternal?
God is omnipresent. When Jesus walked on earth, he didn't visit Yale. No offense to you guys, he didn't come to New Haven. He lived in Palestine, in Israel. He limited himself to a body. He limited himself in space. And he also limited himself in time. Does that not make sense?
We have a class here called Infinity.
Yeah.
And the class in Infinity gives general rules infinity. Yeah. Infinity times 2 is infinity. Yeah. Infinity plus infinity is infinity. Yeah. And infinity does not equal any integer. Right. So if God is eternal, God's time is eternal, but Jesus' time is not eternal, they can't equal each other.
I get it. Right? So if I treat her as a mathematical formula, that's dehumanizing. And if I treat God as a mathematical formula, I'm an idiot. God is not a mathematical formula, and guess what? Neither is she. You've got to learn to make a distinction between mathematics and personal beings. It's that simple. Does that make no sense?
Kierkegaard talks about the leap of faith.
Yeah, he sure does.
To me, it seems like what's happening here is that leap of faith.
No.
It's where I don't really understand how, something that doesn't really make sense, how infinity can't be defined by something finite. So what I have to do is, I think what your argument would be, what I have to do is make that leap of faith and just accept that it doesn't, Jesus and God does not fit convention. Is that?
If you try and put her or God into your mathematical formula, you're going to have a breakdown. It's not going to work. It's that simple, guys. What's the smell of the color red? What does red smell like? What's the mistake I'm making? I'm mixing my categories. And therefore, if I'm asking you, what is the smell of the color red? I'm confusing categories. In the same way, if you think you can fit God into a mathematical formula, you're confusing categories.